Counsel, you can come with him if you'd like. So I've given a lot of thought to this case, reviewed the PSI very carefully, consider all the evidence presented at trial. And let me just tell you right up front, I do not believe a youthful offender sentence is appropriate in this case. I'm not going to impose one. I'm going to sentence him to an adult sanction. So then my next question to me, after determining that a youthful offender sentence is not appropriate in this case, of what an appropriate sentence is. I do think a 20-year sentence is excessive, and I'm not going to impose a 20-year sentence in prison. I'm sort of stunned when you take a look at the defendant's criminal history beginning back in 2015, that it shows a consistent pattern of not learning from mistakes. 2015, he entered a plea to, in juvenile court, of domestic battery, resisting without violence, making threats. He completed a youth offender program, and it resulted in that case being dropped, because that was part of the terms of the agreement. And so I think most people at that point would have said, whew, I'm going to walk the straight and narrow. And Mr. Jackson, I watched the music videos, and I have to say that I'm appalled at the content of them, at the direction. But one thing that really sticks out is Mr. Jackson is a talented young man that could do anything he wanted with his life if he made the right choices. And I think that the video spoke loud and clear to the jury of what the purpose of that video was. It may have been some art, but that wasn't what it was for. I don't find Mr. Jackson's assertion that he's not a member of the Young and Ruthless credible. I find that he is not credible when he makes that assertion. And not only that, but I think it's very clear what a charismatic leader he is in the Young and the Ruthless. When people look up to someone who commits crimes, that's a shame, I think. So then we move on from him getting these charges dropped after he's in a plea of guilty to them there's carrying a concealed firearm also in 2015. So he's sentenced to probation. There's a carrying concealed firearm and a resisting an officer without violence. And so he is, for the carrying concealed firearm, he's withhold adjudication of delinquency. He's placed on probation. He's given another shot, another chance. And so then there's a violation of that probation in later in 2015. He doesn't make it very long indeed before there's a violation of that probation. So then in 2015 CJ 4515, he's enters a plea of guilty to burglary of an unoccupied dwelling. He's adjudicated delinquent. He's put on probation after he's committed to a non-secure residential, and he violates that probation again. He violates his probation when given an opportunity. In a 2016 case, another burglary of a structure or conveyance, resisting without violence was null pros, and loitering and prowling was null pros. So then in that case, he's put on probation, and he violates it again, by another violation of the probation. And then we have the possession of a firearm by adjudicated delinquent, in which he pleads guilty. He's just sentenced to jail. So I see a consistent pattern of violating the law. He's driving with no valid driver's license. And while that may be considered minor, one might think that driving without no valid driver's license is minor. The fact is that it's just another incident of him not complying with the law. In fact, there's 2 incidences of no valid driver's license. There was one in 2018, and another in 2019. And again, it's you know, it's, while it's not a serious crime, it's just another indication of Mr. Jackson's thumbing his nose at the law. And so my concern is that this is now the 3rd firearms offense for which you've been held responsible. It just seems that your intent on, rather than becoming that successful artist that you could be with all the potential in the world you have, of just making the decision that you would be rather associated with a criminal gang and make videos that promote or in furtherance of the criminal gang. So I find that you are a danger to the community. And I find that the only way to protect the community from you is to put you in prison. But I'm not going to put you in prison for 20 years. I'm going to put you in prison for 10. So I'm going to adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to 10 years in the Florida Department of Corrections, to be followed by 5 years of probation. And during that period of probation, you'll not associate with any criminal gang members. And you are going to complete the Authentic Manhood program. I'll give you credit for 739 days. And court cost in the amount of, tell you what, I'm going to waive your court costs.